Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and as promised, on this edition of Coach's Corner, we have the head coach of the Ponca City Wildcat football team, Coach Scott Harmon. And Coach, we got to back up because we haven't had a chance to sit down and chat for a little while. Let's go back to Sand Springs
Yep.
because incredible road win for the Wildcats and your team, and that had to feel really amazing. Of course, you had a road win at Enid as well. Uh, winning at home is fantastic. How does it feel when you're when you're at another place? Perhaps some folks were saying you weren't going to win that game. You go in there and you take care of business.
Well, we hadn't won on in Sand Springs since '05. I believe we secured the first four-win season also in that week. So it was a big week for our kids. We won our second district ball game, which kind of puts us in the hunt. For the remainder of the season in the playoffs, probably in the fourth slot where there's about three or four teams that are all going to be vying for that fourth slot. So it was a big win on the road. Kids played hard, executed well, and then just did a lot of things that helped us win on the road. Very effective win.
What were the big keys? What were the big keys to that Sand Springs victory for your team?
It was probably up front. Our guys really blocked well. A lot of people are loading the box up. We run the ball so effectively that they're almost forcing us to try to throw it a little bit, playing a lot of man coverage and putting nine people in the box. So our offensive line, tight ends, and fullbacks did a really good job of running the ball effectively. And then once again, I think it was our second or third straight game with no turnovers. So when we don't turn the ball over, we usually stay in the ball game.
That's remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable. Well, Bartlesville was in town last Friday night, and of course, perhaps you can tell by my inflection. Of course, it didn't end the way any of us wanted it to, but what a game! It was an incredible game. If you had to take a loss, you don't want to. Nobody
Right.
wants to, but my goodness, you had to see a lot of positives in that game.
It was a good thing. We didn't tackle very well. We knew going in, to be honest with you, we probably had to score 31 to 35 points to win. I actually told our assistant coaches that I felt like it was going to come down to the last 2 minutes, and it did. We just didn't make enough plays in the last drive. They made one more play than we did, so we won't make any excuses for that. We've got to kind of learn how to overcome some of those things that happened in that ball game and learn how to win that ball game on the road, on at home, just like we did on the road the week before, because it was one of those games you're really in, and you really kind of need to win that one to stay ahead of the pack, so to speak, getting in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people were talking about that final drive against Bartlesville, and I know you know what I'm going to ask you about. The 3rd and 5, the trick play. There's been a lot of talk about that, but I'm assuming this is a play that has worked well for you in practice. It's something they've gone over, and just for whatever reason, it didn't work.
Well, it's 3rd and 5. Like I say, they're really coming after us on the run a little bit and leaving the pass open. So it in theory they all work when they're on.
Right,
When you
right,
got the
right,
grease board and the
right.
and the marker out. So we didn't execute it like we should have. In the long run, I don't think it was the call. I think it was more along the execution. They did a good job. So if we were in that same spot again, we'd probably do something very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Now, as a fan, and we're watching it, and I was up in the press box. Uh, that last drive, we've got to score to win this game,
Hmm.
and the pressure and the edge of your seat, excitement. I know what it's like for the fan.
Hmm.
What's it like for the head coach on the sidelines and your players? I mean, take us into the mind of the player or the coach when you're in that situation where you're like, this is it.
Yes, it's nerve wracking, and you can imagine with 16, 17, 18-year-old kids in front of 3 or 4 thousand people.
Yeah,
That's what we call the heat, so to
yeah,
speak. You
yeah.
have to perform in the heat. Our kids like it. They're starting to enjoy it a little bit more. They're getting to be real honest with you, the more they are in games that they're close in and
Mm-hmm.
winning in,
Mm-hmm.
it just adds to their experience, and we get so much better in those heated situations. So it's stressful. That's why I got a lot of white and gray hair. You know what I mean? But
Right.
wouldn't change it for the world.
All right. Well, the Wildcats are still in the playoff hunt. That playoff picture is still there. It's going to take some wins to get there, obviously, and you want some things to happen. I've heard Jordan, of course, if you've listened to Jordan on the broadcast of the Ponca City Wildcat football games, talking about how all Ponca City fans should be big Shawnee fans. Here, we want to root them on.
You're right.
We
Yeah,
want
they've
to
already,
root them
yeah.
on right now.
Well, actually, I think right now there's three of us tied with 2 wins, and we've all
Yeah.
got 2 games apiece left.
Yeah.
There's several scenarios when they start listing the scenarios for possibilities to get in after next week. You'll see that they're probably still all going to be right in that same little pack, either 3 or 4 teams, depending on how week 9 comes out. So we need to try to win one on the road to give ourselves an even better chance to sneak in.
Well, let's talk about that road game. Tulsa, Washington, not an easy place to go play. Tulsa, Washington. How are they this year, and what are you seeing on film?
Well, they don't have the Division I kid like they did last year. You know, of course, Dax Hill was playing Saturday night for Michigan on ESPN. We watched him a little bit, and last year actually at half we were up 7-0. Going into the halftime, we do some things that kind of slow the ball game down and help ourselves against a team like this. So we'll do that some more again this year. They've got a really fast quarterback who doesn't throw the ball extremely well, but they do have a couple of Division I receivers that we'll have to try to cover. They run to the ball really well defensively, so I'm sure we'll see 9 or 10 men in the box, and we'll have to try to ground out a ugly win, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Wildcats can do it, and they're on the road to Tulsa, Washington. Encourage everyone who can make it out there and back the Cats and make that trip for Tulsa, Washington. It's always impressive when you look up and you see the band and the high steppers and the cheer squad and Ponca City Wildcat. Now I don't know what the rest of the district is like, but it seems to travel really well. I mean,
Yes, I'm really
there's a
pleased.
caravan of cars headed to Tulsa, Washington this week.
You bet. Yeah, we travel well. All our extracurricular and support groups will be with us. So we enjoy Friday nights. We enjoy them having them be part of it. So we want to continue that and make that kind of a weekly deal during football season.
Yeah, players that really are going to be key players that you're looking forward to this Friday night.
We'll really have to play well on the edge. So Sheldon Ducoity and Hunter Bradley will be critical force on the edge blocking, and then we'll have to secure the ball with Kiter and Cameron, and then try to throw the ball as effectively as we can.
All right, very good. Tulsa, Washington, and then next up it'll be senior night Sapulpa. We won't talk about that right now. We'll talk about that next on the next show. So, Coach Harmon, thank you so much. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Coach's Corner. Our thanks to Kristen Smith, your head coach of the national champion Po High Steppers, and your head coach of the Ponca City Wildcat football team, Coach Scott Harmon. Until next time, thank you for watching.